Welcome guys to another edition of Code with Ihechukwu. So in this edition of Code with Ihechukwu, we are going to be modeling and solving a popular mathematical equation using a programming language called Python. Now Python is a high-level interpreted programming language used to develop softwares to solve problems used in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and also in space exploration. The equation we are going to be solving today is the quadratic equation, the famous quadratic equation. Now, the quadratic equation is a polynomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are constants. To determine the solution of a quadratic equation, there are some methods used. One is using the formula. Second is using completing the square method. Third, using factorization method. And fourth, using graphical method. Quadratic equation has so many applications in life. Example, it can be used to calculate the motion, to determine the motion of an object, of a free fall object under gravity. It can also be used in economics to calculate the cost function, and it can also be used in computer graphics. Now, without further ado, let us dive into our code and begin to solve this problem. Okay, now I'm on my VS Code, so I'll just quickly go ahead and create a new Python file. Then I'll call it quadratic because it's for quadratic equation.py. Quadratic equation.py. I'll create the file. Now, you realize that from the definition, from the solution of a quadratic equation, the general formula is given by minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So that is what is given. So I'll be needing to import some mathematical module. So the first one I will import is actually to import the math module. So the math module. Now this math module is to I'm importing it so that I will have access to some mathematical functions like the power function and the square root function. So I will call it the math. I'll comment it out and call it the math module. Now the next thing is to go ahead and define the next thing now to do is to go ahead and define the quadratic function. So I will just define the quadratic function. I will name it solve quadratic. Now solve quadratic, and quadratic equations takes three constants. So it will take the first one, then b and c. Then so let me just comment here and say function definition. Now this is my function definition, so I've defined the function. So the next thing to do now is, if you realize that from the formula, from the general equation, minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now that square root of b squared minus 4ac is actually called the discriminant. Now discriminant determines the nature of the solution. So if the discriminant is negative, that means that the nature of the solution is complex. Then if the discriminant is positive, that means that the nature of the root is real number. So let's go ahead and define the discriminant. Now the discriminant is given by d. Now d, then I will now say power, which is power, then b squared, then minus 4 ac. Now this is the d, so this is the discriminant, so I'll just comment it out, discriminant. So I'll just comment it out, discriminant. So the next thing is to define the first root and the second root. So my root 1, which is the solution, the first solution of the quadratic equation. So my root 1, I would call my root 1 this, I'll call my root 1 this. So my root 1 is given by minus, then b plus math dot square root of my discriminant, then over 2a. Now my second root, which is root 2, is also given by, now as a function, I'm going to return these values. So root 1, then I'm returning root 2 also. So let's go ahead and run this code. So we are going to create some variables. So let's just create a variable. Let's create x equal to, so I'm taking a float. So I'm requesting float input from the user in order to calculate the root of the equation. So go ahead and print the solution, the answer. So we'll say print and f. So we'll say f. Now the root of the first one is x, y, and z is then we are calling the function now. So we'll call the function solve for, and we pass in the values x, y, z. Now let's go ahead to Google and find some equations that we can solve. So let's get ahead to Google Chrome. Now this one, let's try out this one. Now this one says x squared minus 5x minus 14. So that means that our a is 1, our b is minus 5, and our c is minus 14. So let's go ahead and put it. So we'll now run the function first. Python quadratic. Python quadratic.py. So enter a. Now from the distance, our a is what? 1, right? Then our b is what? Actually our b is minus 5 and our c is 14. Minus 5, then our c is minus 14. Now as you can see, it says the root of this and this is minus 2 and 7. So let's go ahead and confirm if the answer is correct. So can you see minus 2 and 7? So let's go ahead and try this one. This other one says 6x squared minus x equal to 5. So if you swap the equation, that means that it will be saying 6x squared minus x minus 5. So that means that our a is 6, our b is minus 1, and our c is minus 5. If you cross everything over, equal to 0. So let's go ahead and try. So enter a. My a is 6, my b is minus 1, and c is minus 5. So as you can see, this is the solution. So let's go ahead and check. Now this is the solution. Now 5 over 6 minus 5 over 6 is the same thing as minus 5 over 6 is actually the same thing as 0.88888, right? So okay, let's try something different. What if d is negative? Let's try something when the solution is complex. So let's just go ahead and look for a complex solution. So this should be giving a complex solution: 2, 3, and 6. So let's try it out. 2, 3, and 6. Can you guess the answer? Let's just try and see. 2, 3, and 6. Wow, it's showing an error. It says math domain error, a value error. How do we solve this? Okay, let's go ahead and solve it. So we are going to import another module. Let's clean the distance. So we are going to import another module to handle complex numbers. So let's go ahead and import, and it is called CMAT. Now let me comment this out. Math module for complex functions. Now this math module is actually used for complex functions. So, and from the definition of the discriminant, we know that when the discriminant is less than 0, automatically the solution is complex. So we can go ahead and say if, no, not here. Go ahead and say if d less than 0, right? If d less than 0, so root 1 should be equal to minus b plus then c mat. Have you seen the difference now? C mat square root, c mat square root, then d all divided by 2 times a. Now the next thing is for the second root 2 equal to now minus now b plus c mat dot square root then d divided by 2 a. Now else, now this is when it is less than 0. So what if when it is 0 or greater than 0? So we can now say else we run this for my ones, else we run this one. So everything should work out now. So let's try it again. What was those values again? They were 2, 3 and 6. 2, 3 and 6. So we go ahead and run. The first one is 2, 3 and 6. As you can see, the solution is a complex number. The solution is now complex. Now this is how you solve, this is how you model the quadratic equation using Python. Now I would advise you to also solve some problems. You can solve some problems. You can decide to write a code that takes in the whole text, a code that takes in the whole text, then works on the text and extract the coefficients and use it to find the root without using any human. So also make sure you subscribe and also await our next video. Thank you. And as you can see, we have been able to determine the solution of the quadratic equation using Python. Now if you want to be seeing videos like this, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification button. I will also want you guys to tell me the next video, the next mathematical equation we will solve, we will model using Python in the comment box below. Thank you and bye bye for now.